A Mississippi Sheriff's Department said earlier this week that they had fired apparently all of the deputies, multiple deputies, after 2 black men accused them in a federal lawsuit of some of the most horrendous abuse, physical as well as sexual abuse that I've seen. And we've covered a lot of stories like this. Apparently, all of the deputies that have been involved in that have been fired. That is what they are saying. We're gonna give you the details, but as I said, very rough stuff, so understand that going in. Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, who had lived together at the time of the alleged assault, they're the 2 victims in this case, claimed in the lawsuit that deputies entered their home without cause or warning. Despite that, the deputies beat, waterboarded, stunned, sexually violated, and attacked them with racial slurs. They said that they lobbed a number of different race-based insults at the men, angrily accused them of dating white women. They allegedly handcuffed and beat the men before they shot them with tasers 20 to 30 times in some sort of sadistic contest to see who could be most effective in stunning the 2 men. The officers then put the 2 men on their backs and poured water on their faces in an effort to waterboard them before they sexually assaulted them with a sex toy. They then put guns to the men's heads and threatened to kill them, but it went way beyond just threats. The evening ended when an officer put a gun in Jenkins' mouth while he was handcuffed. The gun shot, because he shot the gun, allegedly shattered Jenkins' jaw, severely lacerated his tongue. Several of his arteries were severely damaged and he almost died. He was then left alone to seek aid. And one of the men actually accused of shooting Jenkins, was previously involved in the death of Damian Cameron, a 29-year-old black man whose neighbor accused him of vandalism and called the police back in 2021. So if these allegations are true, he took a brief break before once again trying to kill someone. They have been fired, but thus far, that's all I've heard of it, Brett. Seems like I would do much more than just fire these men. They should be behind bars.
There should be an investigation. There should be an apparatus for independent investigation that has no ties to this particular jurisdiction and has no ties to, it makes it and is wildly transparent. So that they can have this investigation that could lead to a grand jury, that could lead to criminal charges against them, through the normal process of the law that is made free from bias toward the exact, the law enforcement officials, because they're all law enforcement officials. I think that's pretty clear. I think that's pretty obvious, and it shouldn't take this second instance to let someone back in. Like, it's so horrible to me that like the optimism of rehabilitation and lack of recidivism is extended to bad cops more than it is to people that aren't cops, and that's horrifying. And it takes place in the police force, and it takes place in the priesthood as well. And I just think it's absolutely sick. And I don't see anyone who would be against anything that I say acting in good faith. I don't think all cops are bad, but I think that this exact thing typifies what people hate the most about the culture of policing. 100%. That it wasn't just a lone thing, that they did it together. I would also say, I occasionally say that people who think that they need like assault rifle to ward off a gang of marauders or whatever, there's that doesn't actually exist, but it does in limited circumstances. Stories like this. Cops are the only people that gang up and do these absolutely brutal things on a regular basis. But of course, those talking about guns never talk about these sorts of incidents.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.